It's not good for them, it's not good for me, it's not good for anyone who's trying to bear witness as to what's going on in these countries. Which brings me to Amina. I was familiar with Amina, but I wasn't a close follower of hers, largely because I didn't view her as a source. She focused on long-form narrative, which was very interesting and compelling to a lot of people, but didn't help me personally. And I mean that in a very pragmatic way. As I was trying to figure out what was going on in Syria, I didn't need to read these long emotional pieces of people going through an identity crisis and how to get involved with the protests or whatever. I wanted people to send me footage. I wanted people to send me lists of people they believe who have been arrested. And so I tended to focus more on the people that weren't getting a lot of press and a lot of people who were frankly expats, like they were in exile living in Beirut or elsewhere in the region, who still were able to get SIM cards or memory cards smuggled out of the country with new videos on them. And so when Amina was quote unquote kidnapped, I was surprised just as everyone else. I knew who she was. I'd read stuff of hers and thought it was compelling, albeit rather melodramatic. And sent out a number of emails trying to figure out what was going on. I was one of the first people to contact the State Department and have them look around, for example. But so this was all on the morning of June 6th, I guess. And by that evening, I started getting messages from some of my contacts in Syria, including one who I would say isn't necessarily trusted by his fellow Syrians because he isn't seen as totally supportive of the opposition. But I had always had a good rapport with him, and so I was always happy to hear what he had to say. And in his direct message to me, he essentially said, I don't believe what's going on here. There's something wrong. I know the local gay community in Damascus, and this person is not a part of it. And so I started asking questions on Twitter, just trying to find out who exactly has talked to her. Not trying to suggest publicly she wasn't real, but I just wanted to talk to the people who knew her, just to get more of an understanding. Because I was still operating under the assumption this was a real person under very deep cover who, in the sense that they didn't want to get themselves killed. And the worst case scenario would be that they had created so many layers of fiction about themselves that no one would believe them or find her, and that she'd still be sitting in a prison somewhere in Syria. And so I felt it was really important to keep digging in this. But and then a couple of other Syrian contacts contact me, and one of them was quite vague. He sent out a public tweet, and he didn't address it to anyone. He didn't mention what it was about. He basically said, I think something is about to go very badly. And I wrote him back, are you thinking what I'm thinking? And he wrote me, I'll DM you. And he then DM'd me a few more thoughts, basically reflecting what the first guy had suggested to me. And then he deleted all of his DMs and he stopped following me on Twitter. He was so concerned about getting involved in this conversation, which made me realize the rabbit hole we were all about to go down. Because while on the one hand, it created this exciting race to figure out who could find out who this person really was. While that was going on, all of my sources in Syria just shut their doors. They stopped talking.